I would definitely refer you to the article in this week's paper. I believe it's Martha's, or perhaps Minnie Bruce. And we've had a string of really great comprehensive articles. This is the latest one. But just as a sort of brief update, this is the 5th week of the strike. It's about 36 to 39,000 workers that are out all along the eastern seaboard. It's one of the biggest strikes that the labor movement has seen in a while in this country. Verizon is hugely profitable. I mean, in the last 2 quarters of 2015, they made $1.8 billion in profits per month. Per month. Yeah, they're hugely profitable, and they're in the process of shifting a lot of what they do from wireline service, which is a lot of the workers now are wireline workers, to FiOS and other kinds of things. But they're also trying to expand their business without expanding their workforce. They're trying to get more profitable. That's why one of the big demands that the workers are fighting is the right of the company to send them anywhere for a month or 2 months at a time to do work. They don't want to hire new people to do it. They want to use who they have, and they want to send them all over and split up their families. And that's in addition to closing call centers. They want to close call centers and send the work to places where they can super exploit people, or they just want to be able to contract out the work. Actually, the strike there's a 2-week strike in 2011 of 46,000 workers. This strike is 39,000 workers, so you see the reduction in the workforce just from that. And if Verizon's been spending millions of dollars on newspaper ads against this, and this fact isn't lost on the strikers who are saying you could resolve all these issues. You're spending millions just to bust us, and that's of course a big goal in this is to in addition to maintaining what they think their flex means for profit are, they would really prefer to just be able to do this without the union at all. And Verizon, it's important to note, Verizon, they have different sections. There's Verizon Wireless. When you go to the stores, that's all Verizon Wireless. There was most of these tens of thousands of workers are wireline workers with Verizon. But there was a campaign, a successful union campaign in 2014. 6 Verizon Wireless stores in Brooklyn were organized. The workers voted to get a union, and one store in Everett, Massachusetts. But ever since they won that, the company has refused to even bargain with them, and they don't have a contract. They're out on this strike too. I don't think a lot of people know that. They're actually in their 5th week with no income. They're on strike as well. So this is a really huge strike that affects a lot of sectors of our class. If you see the demographics of it, in places like New York and Boston, it looks mostly white, but some of the southern states, it's more people of color, and all of the Verizon Wireless workers in Brooklyn are women of color. I think we would like to be a lot more involved in this strike. PPA, the People's Power Assembly, which is an organization that was primarily formed to combat police violence, racist police harassment, and racist police killings, but has also taken up other struggle issues, and the Laundry Workers Center, which does so much great struggle for workers' rights with the immigrant community. They've been a regular feature at our meetings, and it wasn't hard to get people to say that we should go out and picket and adopt a store. They call it, the union calls it adopt a store. That's the place where they don't have a picket line. So we did that last week on Thursday and this week on Friday. Just taking a little step into the struggle can be very rewarding and purposeful. We got there Thursday. We decided to go in the store for a little while. We did. FICON was part of that. That was fun. It was a little militant. At the same time, we reminded the workers there that we were for their right to have a union. We weren't picketing against them, obviously, because they're part of that struggle to get a union at the wireless stores. So they then called the cops. when we went back outside, the cops, the managers on the phone with their higher managers tried to use a statute to have us removed, and that didn't work. So we came back this week, same thing, they called the cops. It was raining this time. We stayed out in the rain. The cops hid in the store away from the rain and just watched us. We were joined this time by 3 workers from the Laundry Workers Center who showed up to support. And that's, I mean, they are doing great things, and I just hope Tony from the floor can comment on this great victory they just had up in the Bronx. After only a week, they got management to exceed all their demands. It's really because of their track record. They fought so hard in other cases, in bitter struggles, that the bosses looked at them and said, okay, whatever, we'll just, you got it. And just a side note, you know, sometimes taking just one little step in the struggle can be a little more productive than you thought it might be. We went out with our signs, the People's Power Assembly signs, last week, and then in some of the back and forth with the union, I found out that the wording has to be very specific because it has to do with this legalistic stuff about struck work. If you're in front of a place, it has to be the exact place that you can't just say Verizon if you're in front of a Verizon wireless store. It's all this stuff. I was looking at it, I'm thinking, do they want us to go to their office and pick up, you know, signs and stuff? And I'm like, that sounds like a drag. We got signs already. And I looked at the address of one of the locations where we're supposed to go. 275 7th Avenue. That's 7th Avenue between 25th and 26th Street. I was sitting on a chair. I went, oh, I got it from the chair. I got on the elevator. I walked around the corner. In 5 minutes, I had a bunch of these signs. And so we were there with the, you know, the proper signs yesterday. So for people's, you know, knowledge, for you know, want to do more strike support and get information, it's right around the corner, 275 7th Avenue. And just to quickly wrap up, I spoke to Steve Kirschbaum. He's one of the leaders in our party and a leader in the School Bus Drivers Union. They've been doing a lot of solidarity work with this strike up in Boston. People probably know this strike covers CWA and IBEW. Mostly in New York it's CWA. In Boston it's IBEW. And actually one of the bigger locals up there is one that was central to the victory of the school bus drivers before getting their jobs back. That was a hard-fought victory that we were part of for 2 years. And because there was a problem using the union's office, we used for all of our activity, anybody who went up there, we all met at IBEW 2222, the telephone workers there. They had been friends with the School Bus Drivers Union going back 20 years because when they were on strike 20 years ago, the people who were the most militant and fought the hardest and got arrested alongside them were the School Bus Drivers Union. So when the School Bus Drivers Union had a crisis, the telephone workers opened up their office and we worked out of their office. Now we are returning the favor by helping them organize big demonstrations. You know, this struggle is taking place. Okay, I'll wrap it up. And the struggle is taking place in the context of the Bernie Sanders campaign. Actually, CWA endorsed Sanders in December. A lot of their T-shirts have big pictures of Sanders, and so the struggles against the scabs are happening while there's increased interest in the political struggle, inequality, and the role of the system, and the role of the cops is something that people are also paying attention to. So, I don't know if people followed this, but there are intense battles with the scabs that are happening, both in Boston and here and all over the place. And in Queens, so I'm winding up. I've gotten the message visually, and I'm going to make sure that in Queens, there was a hotel that was housing a lot of scabs. These are the people who are coming, the replacement workers. The union members on strike greeted them very early in the morning with loud protests outside their hotel. Last week they did that, and the scabs are too scared to come out, so they called the cops. The cops escorted the scabs out to their cars, the cop cars, put them in their cars. Then they some of the cops got behind the wheels of the cars that the scabs were using and drove those away. They were in such a rush to do it that they ran into one of the strikers and kept driving. So this whole thing has been, while people are paying attention to this struggle, they're getting a lesson in who their friends and enemies are. The NYPD, the courts ruled this week. After that, who did the courts rule in favor of? They ruled and said that those strikers could no longer picket in front of that hotel. So, yes, so I've run out of time and things to say, but we'll be giving more reports, and hopefully we'll be able to get more people out on the picket line. Please check the latest issue of Workers' World for the latest report on it and other articles as well. Thanks.